Mayor, I'm ready. Madam Mayor, I'm ready to start whenever you.
Okay.
No rush.
Budget presentation. Everything good? Okay, thank you, sir.
All right, Madam Clerk, the time is now 7 p.m.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The time is now 7 p.m. I'd like to call the regular Township Council meeting to order. May I do roll call? Councilwoman Perone?
Present.
Councilman Anderson is running a little late, but he will be here. Councilwoman McIntosh will be absent this evening. Deputy Mayor Dr. Worthy
Present.
and Mayor Whitfield.
Present.
Thank you. Please rise for the flag salute.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let us pray. Father God in heaven, we thank you, O Lord, for yet another day. We thank you for allowing us to join together just one more time to do the business of Willingboro Township. God, I ask that you touch each and every individual in this place right now. Touch the council as they make decisions on behalf of the township, on behalf of the residents. God, give us grace, give us peace, give us direction, give us guidance as we continue through this meeting. Continue to bless Willingboro as only you can. We love you and magnify you and pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Deputy Manager, Mr. Gary B. Lowry III. And the compliance statement, please, Madam Clerk.
Notice was provided in compliance with Chapter 231 of the Public Laws of 1975 to the Burlington County Times, Trenton Times, and Philadelphia Inquirer, stating the date, time, place, and the agenda to the extent it was known. Additionally, notice was filed in the office of the Township Clerk.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here this evening, and also to those who are joining us online. We have a bit of an agenda today. We have a few presentations on some opportunities that are before us, as well as the introduction of our budget this evening. So without further ado, I will turn it over to Mr. Harris, our Township Manager, to begin with his municipal updates.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the governing body and the CHIP. We're going to start our meeting this evening with an update from our engineer, Mr. Russell Chipola, after which Ms. Jackson is going to come forth and bring some highlights of activities that are happening in the municipality. Mr. Chipola.
Good evening. Good evening, Mayor,
Good evening.
Deputy Mayor, Council, and Mr. Solicitor. I'd like to begin with a project that I'm working on. There's 2 bathrooms in the JFK Center. I'm looking at it as an alternate rather than going out to a consultant for their to do the design. I'm looking to do it possibly in-house, and I'm trying to work with I am working with the purchasing agent and also our building and grounds or buildings department to see if that can be done, with my assistance in order to save the township quite a bit of money. We need to also get a proposal for what's called a watershed improvement plan in order to meet the new regulations imposed by the MS4 permits. In New Jersey, these regulations and plan need to be done by January 2026. I was told that there are grants available to that, which I will also look into. We need to start also looking at NJDOT local transportation project fund and local aid improvement infrastructure fund projects, which I haven't been able to decide which project we're going to do yet. In addition to that, we have the municipal aid funds, which, we're going to be going after also this year. And there is what's called a 2025 NJDOT set aside transportation alternative for things like bike lanes. The caveat on that is we have a very short deadline. That's April 11th. And the projects have to be $2 million and over, which could be an issue to try to meet that. For Babbitt Lane, Remington and Verdict recently completed a recommendations for what they think will alleviate the flooding in that area. They're going to submit me costs for the improvements. I spoke with iBank representatives this week, and we were going to be applying for a clean water project, stormwater grant for that project rather than trying to get other funding, which would be more expensive for the township. And speaking of the iBank, I had attended in person 2 seminars last week, one for the iBank Clean Water Program and one for the iBank Transportation Program. And they were very informative to me, as I've never, been to one of their webinar or seminars before, and I got to learn a lot of things about what we can and can't do. R&V submitted a proposal for a historical pesticide study that's required for Mill Creek Park and Jake's Place. And we're in the process of going to recommend award for them to perform that work in order for that project to be completed and approved by Green Acres. We're also looking to approve T&M Associates for the design of Edge Lane. After studying other 3 or 4 proposals. I finally got a meeting with Rachel Stopper at the DEP. I remember last council meeting, I discussed the requirements for the Big D Marina for the permits that we're going to need to get that done. And my meeting is April 22nd. That is the earliest I can get that. She is out of country for the next 3 weeks. So I have that meeting set up with her, and that will be an in-person meeting up in Trenton, so we can go over all that. We have 2 bridges in the county that are over 20 feet that are available to be on the federal aid system, which means we can get federal funding for any repairs and inspections. Those are on Pennypacker Drive and Van Sciver Parkway. I'm going to be talking with Mr. Harris about meeting with the county engineer to see if they would take over these 2 bridges so that the township won't bear the responsibility of costs for inspections and any repairs. Alignment Associates sent us 2 more concept plans, number 3 and number 4, along with engineer's estimate for the US ATF track facility. That came in this afternoon. I have not gotten a chance to review them, but I will discuss them with council at the next council meeting. Also, last week, I met with Jim Mullen from Pannoni Associates at the JFK Performing Arts Center to go over the current phase of work being done to make sure that it's being done per plans and make sure that it's on schedule. And also, we went over the proposed phase 2 improvements before that's going to be going out to bid. And Pannoni is planning on submitting the plans to council administration prior to advertising. And I think that is all I have tonight. I hope I was brief enough. Any questions or comments? Be glad to answer them.
No, I don't know. Okay. Mr. Chipola, are we still on track for the end of second quarter for the Performing Arts Studio, or when is the proposed date for
We are
the
supposed to be
completion?
installing chairs in the middle of June.
Okay,
So we're going to be, early summer probably before we can get that. From what I gather, and I came into this obviously after the fact, there were a lot of change orders and things that came up during the contract that weren't unforeseen in the beginning. So we're trying to get them incorporated as fast as possible. I've been, staying on top of Pannoni to make sure that they're doing their due diligence, to make sure that they're staying, on schedule, make sure they're making the contractor stay on schedule.
okay,
Also making timely pay application so we can keep them moving forward.
Okay.
We
And
took,
then,
we took some stuff out of, I'm sorry, out of their contract because the prices that we were getting for some of these extras from Levy Construction were so out of in the stratosphere. So we decided to move them into the phase 2 bid. So we'll get competitive bids and we'll keep the prices down.
okay.
Yeah.
And then, and I know the curtain was one of those things that we moved to phase 2.
Okay, like I said,
Yeah.
I'm not intimately familiar with
Okay.
every detail of this because I kind of came in late on this, but
All right.
that's something that you need. I'll make sure that, that's taken care of too.
All right.
Mayor,
And,
that is correct.
okay.
Thanks, Mr.
And then also on the Jake's Place project, do we have a proposed or an estimated completion date on that project? Will it be ready for use this year?
I expect
before
it
we
to
hit
be.
winter?
We have to get this historical pesticide analysis done because they found evidence that there would be what they call historical pesticides because it was a former farm and orchard, which is common in South Jersey. So they have a proposal for them to do the work with R&V, with a consultant. That'll take maybe a month, then we have to submit the whole package back to Green Acres.
Okay.
So we're at the mercy of Green Acres as to when, we can do that, but I can have an answer for you,
Yeah, I think that would
This
be
week
great
and
if we
see
had
what we
a
can do.
proposed timeline so that we can plan a grand opening for that.
Sure, I can have that to Mr. Harris for you this
Great.
week. I'll try to get it.
All right. Any other questions for Mr. Chipola? No, Mr. Harris?
And Mayor, just a comment on your question. One of the issues with the Jake's Place and the pickleball courts that we're pressing up against now is the Jazz Fest. So we have been talking, we don't want to tear up that area and have it be a risk hazard during the Jazz Fest. So we have been talking with R&V about the length of construction, and we do believe that we will start construction on both of those immediately after. And they're about 45, 60-day, 90-day top construction, so they should be completed by the end of this year.
Okay. So it would happen after the Jazz Fest. It wouldn't be ready for the Jazz Fest.
Correct.
Okay.
Thank you. Mr.
All right. Thank you, Mr.
Okay,
Chipola.
you're welcome. Thank you, Council.
You can continue, Mr. Harris.
Ms. Jackson?
Good evening, Mayor, Deputy Mayor, members of council, and all assembled. As we quickly approach the Easter season, our annual extravaganza will be held on this Saturday, April 5th, from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. That will be at the Kennedy Center, and children between the ages of 7 and 12 are welcome. And then the following Saturday, April 12th, the younger children, ages 3 through 6, are invited to our Easter egg hunt-tastic. That will be held from 10 a.m. until 11, and all children must be accompanied by an adult. On Saturday, April 26th, we will host our Earth Day, and this year's event will encompass a community garden event from 10 a.m. to noon and a collaboration with Go Grow, as well as nature walks and photography sessions at Crystal Lake. And then the month will conclude with our annual Phenomenal Woman Awards event on Sunday, April 27th at 3 p.m. We're excited about the 6 phenomenal women who will be celebrated and who have excelled in various areas in the community. The tickets are $60 and can be purchased via willingboroughrec.com. Dr. Denise King will serve as our keynote speaker, and the deadline to purchase tickets is April 11th. So we're looking forward to another phenomenal event. And just as a save the date, Saturday, May 3rd, is our Clean Community Spring Cleanup event, and more information will be shared about that. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Jackson. And next, we're going to have a presentation for the council from by Mr. Adam Bryan from Crossing Guard Services, who is going to talk to you about potentially shifting management of our crossing guards from or outsourcing the management of our crossing guards from the police department to a private organization. So I'm going to bring forth Mr. Adam.
Do you have the presentation or you want to?
Yes.
Okay.
Sean, can you put the presentation up on the screen?
Sir, can you give me a few minutes? I just received it. I'll download it and convert it to a PDF and it'll be up in a few minutes.
Okay, thank you.
Well, while we wait, if you can just introduce yourself, that would be great.
Nice to meet you. My name's Adam Bryan. I started Crossing Guard Services back in 2022. We started in Wayne, New Jersey, and Demorest up in Bergen County. In this area, we're in Gloucester City, Haddon Township, Woodbury City, West Deptford National Park. I think next year we'll be in Lindenwall, Winslow, possibly Cherry Hill. So it's kind of growing.
Okay.
Pretty rapidly.
Yeah, I see. Are you a former crossing guard?
You know, I'm not. I started a company. A lot of townships are outsourcing the extra duty work for police officers. So I had a company that did that for about 10 years, and I sold that. And a lot of them would say, "Hey, I wish we had help with crossing guards." So it's kind of a easy decision to go into this.
Oh, nice. All right.
Yes, and we initially met Mr. Bryan at the League of Municipalities Conference, and we were talking about what he does. And after those conversations, I was like, there's potential in Willingboro. So he did come in, my office, the police department, Lieutenant Bankston and Sergeant Hankey, we all sat down at the table, and Mr. Bryan filled us in what Crossing Guard Services could do for Willingboro. I will tell you, it is not really a cost savings mechanism because the dollar value would be about the same for the contract. However, it takes the management of the crossing guards out of the police's hands, which we have two higher level police officers that spend a lot of time managing crossing guards and puts it into the private organization. And there are some benefits that come along with that. So that's what Mr. Bryan is going to be presenting to you this evening, just for council's consideration. I'm not asking for any decisions this evening, just so you can be aware and plant the seed for further discussion.
All right.
Um,
And if we have that presentation ready?
I could just go through it. It's
Go ahead.
Yeah, the council members do have it in front of us.
Yeah, you want-
So we do have that, and then once the presentation is up on the screen, the public will be able to follow along.
Okay.
All right.
So I'll just kind of go through all the areas of what we handle. Basically, the way it works, we come in and we'll manage the hiring, the management, the scheduling, the training, the compliance, all facets of the program. The big thing is, since we directly manage the crossing guard staff, the current crossing guards become employees of ours. The one thing I assure everyone, we'll put it in the contract, and just practically speaking, everyone currently working would keep their positions. So there'd be no changes. We go above and beyond. We want everyone to stay. It wouldn't work with turnover. So once there are employees, now if there are openings, we do all the recruiting. So again, anyone who lives in the township would always have the first right for any positions in the township. So we're not looking to move people from other towns here. It's and again, we'll put that in writing, and you have my word on that. There's really no one path to recruiting. We use local organizations. We use the typical online. We use Facebook. We use referrals. We give $250, and it just like I said, there's really not one clear path. It's little this, little that to find the people. But once they start the job, most absolutely love it. So the second area, which is a big one, is the compliance. And all this information will be provided to the township and the police department, but that's just the background checks. You know, everyone's had the sexual abuse, checks, children checks, physicals to make sure they're up to the, standards of the job. These are all, requirements by the state. So it's, you know, and they're fairly extensive, especially compared to other states. And what we do is we put all this into a dashboard. So, unfortunately, there's been a couple fatalities this year in New Jersey. So there's been a lot of, focus on compliance. So if, you know, the insurance companies come in and want to see, just to make sure we're being managed appropriately, you'll have a dashboard where you could log in. You'll see where all the, training stands, where all the compliance check stands, just to show we're on the up and up. An extension of the compliance is the training development. Again, this is all state mandated and it's fairly extensive. So we do the classroom training, the state requires 2 hours. And then there's an annual retrainer, which I'm sure you do as well for all the current staff. And we'll do that. We do all the on-the-job training. So it's 20 hours actually, which is fairly extensive. So anyone who works, once they're on their own, they have to actually pass 3 visual checks plus the 20 hours before they're allowed to work. So, equipment, that'll be on us. So make sure everyone has stop paddle, jackets, raincoats, hats, IDs. Again, everything that meets New Jersey's compliance. The management, since this is a large program, there would be a dedicated manager who would be here every single day, checking on every post. They wouldn't be in any other towns. And then they're supported by a 24-hour call center. So someone wakes up at 3 a.m., they're not feeling well, we answer, and then we'll schedule appropriately. And that person, we get a lot of feedback from residents, from the schools, from all that. And this person would follow up with that feedback and then work with the liaison from the township if it needs to be escalated accordingly. The scheduling, it's a big piece, a lot of moving parts. For the most part, crossing guards are, you know, great attendance records, but you know, everyone has vacations, medical appointments, medical procedures. So it's a lot of moving pieces here. One of the ways we protect against open posts, we actually have extra people on posts where we put them at the busiest posts. So if someone calls out sick or someone gets in a, you know, God forbid, a car accident on the way in, we can move them internally. And that helps so we don't have any openings. Again, since there are employees, they'll be under our payroll. So the paycheck will come from us. That and where the crossing guard needs to call if they need a day off. For the current staff, that's really the only thing that'll change. If they need equipment, they'll call us. But most people never know that they work for a private company. So the insurance, this is a big one. So again, since there are employees, if for some, you know, they get hurt on the job, they're under our insurance. So it's instead of the townships, it's our workers' comp, it's our general liability. We have a sexual abuse and molestation policy. It's under ours. And then we offer the township a waiver of subrogation. So if it ever went to trial, if you know our insurance company settles, then they won't go seek funds from the township after that. So as far as the timeline, it's pretty much a month. So the transition from the township employee to a crossing guard services employee is actually about an hour. It's a lot of paperwork, your typical tax forms, your direct deposit forms, things like that. So that's fairly quick. The 3 weeks or so is recruiting, and then training to fill any gaps that we might have. So, and this is pretty much tried and true. This is, usually there's a few gaps, just people retire, people look for full-time work. So that's how we fill all those. Okay, so as far as pricing, we charge an hourly fee, and that's all inclusive. So that includes the crossing guard's wage, all the different insurances, all the equipment, all the training. So you can calculate every year, you know, if there's 60 positions, 2 hours a day, you know exactly what you'll be paying. We charge on a 2-week basis. And the reason we do that is we give you the backup information where everyone works. So if there's any discrepancies, you know that what we're charging matches will actually happen. And there's a lot of reasons why municipalities choose this, but the kind of the main reason is just it's our sole focus. So this is all we do. Like police department has a lot of other responsibilities, so this allows them to focus on the safety of the township. Human resources payroll can focus on their core responsibilities. So, but again, we don't take the responsibility lightly. For the most part, people think our employees are township employees, and we like that, and we take that seriously. Any questions?
Any questions from council?
I have.
Dr. Worthy?
Thank you so much for the presentation. You may have covered this earlier on and I may have missed it, but I was curious with our existing workforce, our crossing guards, how does your company work with existing personnel to try to ensure that they still have employment, or how does that work? Because we have local dedicated people that live in Willingboro and take a lot of pride in their work. So
Absolutely.
just curious about that transition.
Absolutely. So, we want everyone to stay. We'll put it in the agreement. You have my word. Practically speaking, we want everyone to stay. That being said, as soon as we can, we'll go to every post and talk to everyone, answer the questions, assure everyone, please don't go look for another job. This is your post. Everyone wants you here. And everyone, it's worked out like that everywhere. So, we have references you can call that we've never ever turned over crossing guard staff that are current. So.
Thank you. And my next question, Mr. Harris, you may be able to answer this. Can you speak to what would be different for a crossing guard if they're working through crossing guard services? Like what looks different for them? Is their pay different or benefits different, or like what changes for them?
There really wouldn't be any difference other than them calling their persons instead of calling our persons in-house.
So their pay is the same? Okay. Thank you.
They were respective of the contracts that we negotiated with the crossing guards, and they would honor those contracts.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Mr. Harris, one of the things that I'm curious about is the cost difference from the current system that we have now to switching to crossing guard services. Is there an increase or a decrease in how much we are currently spending on crossing guards?
There is a slight increase, and I forget what your proposal number was.
About 700,000.
Okay, and I think we were at 708,000 for our crossing guard services. So there really was not a big dollar variation between the two, but what it does, it again transition the management and liabilities out of Willingboro and the police department, freeing up those officers to focus more on policing Willingboro, and transitions the operations of the crossing guards to an outside service.
Okay. Yeah, I think it would be helpful for council to have those numbers, those hard numbers, so that we can see what the difference is in the cost of switching. But other than that, I don't have any other questions. Yep.
I did want to say thank you to you and the administration and the police department for bringing this proposal forward for consideration, because we do talk a lot about how we value our police officers, and the work that we ask them to do to serve Willingboro is important. And I think there are other ways we can leverage their experience and training throughout the town than managing the crossing guards, which is also an important function. But we've invested considerably in the training and opportunities for our police force and their equipment as well. And I think that being able to have them do other work for Willingboro is a value add, even if we can't see cost savings specifically in this contract. The way that they're spending their time to support other initiatives in Willingboro, I think, is really important. So thank you for bringing this proposal forward.
Welcome. We do.
Yes, and I also agree with the deputy mayor. I think as we've been on this journey of optimizing Willingboro's budget and staffing, I think this is a phenomenal idea and opportunity for Willingboro as we seek to create a better township for all of our residents and also serve the community in the best way that we can. I think this will improve the operations possibly. And as you said, put some very highly trained police officers back in rotation, policing and ensuring the safety of our residents in a different way, but in still a much needed way. So thank you for this proposal. And thank you.
Oh, thank you.
All right.
Thanks.
Any to you? The email is control and email from mine, Jill, how? Excuse me. So it was my intention also to have a presentation for you this evening from a company called MetroNet, who is an up-and-coming major internet service, fiber optic internet service provider in New Jersey. They are or have been seeking approvals and licensing throughout the state to make inroads into New Jersey, and they have chosen Burlington County to be their entrance point, particularly Willingboro, Simonson, Burlington City, and I forget the two others. But unfortunately, the gentleman had an emergent situation this evening and was not able to. Did you get the email? Okay. And was not able to be here this evening, so we will schedule that presentation for you as well. But I do believe you have that information for your review.
Okay.
And then my main purpose for you this evening was to introduce our 2025 municipal budget. I did send digital copies a little bit earlier, and I did put printed copies for your review on the dais. So I would like to offer our IT staff a few moments to
Well, Mr. Harris, while we're waiting for the presentation to come up, maybe if you can just start with your introductory piece.
Yes. So this 2025 municipal budget is the culmination of a lot of work that actually started back in November of 2024. You recall that, or under the statutes, under this form of municipality, directors are required to come before the township manager and make their request for the subsequent budget year back in November. So we started having these discussions way back then. And we've been compiling numbers and putting together figures. The big time delay comes in with our actual wrapping up our financials for 2020 for the prior year. So we need to get our debt statements, our annual financial statements, and see where we are at with information from our auditors. And then we take all of those numbers and compile our budgets. So this municipal budget presentation is the comprehensive financial plan, which outlines our revenue sources and our planned expenditures for the upcoming fiscal year. This budget reflects careful planning with a focus on maintaining our essential services while being mindful of the impact on taxpayers. And the slides that we're getting loaded up for you will provide a detailed breakdown of our revenue and our appropriations, the budget approval timelines, the impact that it would have, and where we plan to go in 2026. So I do invite all of the residents to review this information that will be on the websites. And then we will have a public hearing on May the 26th at 7:00 p.m. And I would encourage you to participate in those public hearings as well. So let's talk about a little bit about the timeline. As I was saying, that we did start the presentation hearings back in November. By statute, we are required to introduce our budget on May 31st or the next scheduled meeting. So today is,
March 31st.
I'm sorry, March 31st or the next scheduled meeting, which is today. So we are in compliance with the statutory requirements for our budget introduction. After the budget is introduced to you this evening, it will be put into your hands for you to massage it in any way that you see fit. After approval or introduction, or at least 10 days before the public hearing, the budget has to be advertised in the papers, and it will be advertised by the clerk's office. There will be a public hearing that cannot occur less than 28 days after tonight. So 28 days from tonight, we will have the public hearing, which actually ends in April, but the next subsequent meeting would be May the 6th. Unless you wanted to hold a special meeting prior to then, but the next subsequent meeting after then would be May the 6th, and that's what we plan for. And then the potential budget adoption could occur on May the 6th or the next scheduled meeting, dependent on what happens at that hearing. So at the budget adoption hearing, and if you will go to the end of your presentation, there is an outline for the budget amendment process. The amendment process occurs when there are directives that are passed down from the state of New Jersey, the division or the local finance board. They may say that you need to make changes in your budget. And if they tell us to make changes, then we could go ahead and make those changes without any further process. And the governing body also has the ability to make changes in the budget. If there is a change in the budget by the governing body and it's considered to be a significant change, then that change has to be also advertised. And I believe it's only a 3-day window before you can have the hearing, the public hearing on the amendments and then the adoption. So the requirements for a public amendment or a budget amendment process done by the governing body is if there were new appropriations added to the budget that exceeded 1% of the total, if there was a change in any one item by more than 10%, or if there was an increasing taxes by more than 5%, one of those three codicils would have to take place to require a public hearing on any amendments made by the budget. So if you want to go to the third page in your presentation, that outlines the revenue and appropriations in a summary. So our total general revenues, there are two columns here. There's 2025, which is on the left, and there's 2024. What I want to impress, the difference between the two is 2024 are actual numbers that we received we spent, we appropriated. They are the final numbers. So in 2024, there was $53,624,234 in actual revenues received into Willingboro. In 2025, we are projecting $52,845,000. That's a little bit of a difference, and you may ask, well, why? Well, one of the things is in 2024, we received $12,791,035.01 in total miscellaneous revenues. That's on the second line, which included everything, fees, grants, all of the monies that we received outside of our expected anticipated revenues. Let me rephrase that. They were expected, but they included things like fees, permits, licenses, and things, miscellaneous revenues outside of the tax revenues, because tax revenues are our main source of funding in a municipality. So in 2025, our total miscellaneous revenues is just about $4 million less because we do not have the dollar values to any potential grants that we may receive and things like that. And we can't add them into our expected revenues unless we have some prior history to validate that, or some validation. If there was a letter from the state saying you're going to get $3 million for this, then you could incorporate it into the budget. But that's at the end of the year or during the course of the year. We do those Chapter 159 resolutions. That's when we are adding unanticipated revenues into our budget, and those allow us to turn around and then also spend those revenues during the same budget year. So that's the big variation there. So you will see our receipt from delinquent taxes is the same in 2025 as it was in 2024, 2.1 million. Our local tax for municipal purposes is slightly down. This year's 33,495,000. Last year was 33,610,000. The library tax, that is the portion of persons' tax bills that are directly connected to the library. And though we collect it as part of our taxes, we do separate it on the tax bill, and they see it as a separate percentage. So we do count that money as revenues coming in. And then the big number on the top line is the surplus. The surplus is equated to the fund balance. That's the money that we have in the bank. So last year, we used $4.2 million to offset the budget impact. This year, we used a little bit more of our surplus, $7.664 million, to offset the impact of this budget. So this 2025 budget does show a slight decrease in total general revenues compared to 2024, while utilizing the surplus to offset any increased costs to the taxpayers. The amount to be raised by taxation remains virtually unchanged, demonstrating our commitment to maintaining stable tax rates for our residents. It makes no sense for us to have $20 million in the bank just continuing to pile up and pile up. So we do use some of those monies to offset some of these increases year to year. Thank you for the presentation, Sean. We are on page 3. Titled Revenue Appropriations and Summaries. And that is all the information that I just verbalized to you. So the next slide is a breakdown of our revenues for 2024 and again the prior year, and you can see the actual changes in dollar values and percentages. So again, in 2025, which is the budget year, we're using $7.6 million in surplus. That's a change of $3.4 million over last year, or an 82% increase in our utilization of surplus. And then there are the local fees, the permits, interest. Those are what is considered miscellaneous revenues. And then we have the monies that we're receiving in state aid, our state and federal grants that we are aware of. Again, the 2.1 in delinquent taxes. The local purpose tax, those are the monies that we are expecting to collect from the residents for municipal purposes. And then the minimum library tax at $1,037,072.09, which gives you a total budget for 2025, I'm sorry, at $52,845,000. Last year, our budget actually was $53,624,234.57. That was the actual monies received and expended for 2024. So there is a difference by $779,234.57, which is a 1.5% decrease in this year's budget in comparison to last year's budget. So if we go on to the next slide, we get into the appropriations. So last year, our appropriations for salary and wages were $21,033,185.31. This year, we are anticipating our salary and wages to be $21,761,491.46. And this increase of $733,000 is contributed to contractual obligations, new positions that we're looking to add on in our restructuring. So that's what comprises the salary and wages portion. Then there are the other expenses. In a municipal budget, there are two main categories: salary and wages and O&E. And the O&E covers every other expense that the municipality expends. So all of our total other expenses, which would be gas and uniforms and educational purposes and vacations, all come under O&E. And that is also an increase this year from 14 million to 16 million, up 11.43%. Our statutory and deferred charges, these are obligations that we are required to pay. They are about the same. As I explained earlier, our state and federal grant funding is down. Our capital without the grants is slightly down. Our debt service is up a little bit by 16,000, and that's just the monies that we pay on our bonds and notes. Ms. Eusebia explained to me why that was up, and it just escapes me at the moment. And then by law, we are required to have an unspendable appropriation. So that's monies that we account for as being paid out, but not really, and it's titled unreserved, reserved for uncollected taxes. So what this figure represents is saying that we anticipate that $3,149,169.34 will not be received in tax payments in 2024 and 2025. However, we have to consider that as an expense in our budget operations, so we do not overexpend based on our revenues. So our total appropriations, as you will see, although some of these numbers are up, our total appropriations in 2024 were just about 53,600,000, and in 2025 they're down to 52,845,000. So we are aggressively trying to curb and monitor the spending as best as we can through our appropriations, while still planning to restructure and meet our obligations to our employees through our salary and wages obligations. So the next slide is just a summary appropriation breakdown of those things that I just shared with you. 21.8 million salary and wages, which is up from last year. 17.8 million in other expenses, which is down from last year. 4 million in debt services, which is very similar to our 2024 levels. And then 150,000 we are contributing into, or adding into our budget for capital improvements. We are required by law to include a 5% down payment on all of our capital expenditures. So we plan on doing $3 million of capital expenditures. So therefore, we had to add an additional $150,000 in the budget operations as the down payment for capital expenditures. Any questions so far?
None from me.
Chugging right along.
Yes, please.
So the next slide, Sean, please. And again, this is a graphical view of our itemized revenues and appropriations. And as you can see, our surplus, we use more surplus this year. Our total miscellaneous revenues are slightly down, but our receipts from delinquent taxes are flat. Our local tax for municipal purposes is flat. Our minimum library tax is up slightly. And the total generalized or the total generated revenue is just about equal. So that's a graphical vision of us this year in comparison to last year. And again, I had talked about surplus. Sean, the next slide, please. So in our prior year, last year, we had $17,534,576.31. At the beginning of this year, at the end of last year, we added just about $1.3 million into our surplus. So at the start of the year, our surplus was at $18,872,000. So even though we are going to utilize $7,664,000 in that budget, you will see that number right below, we will still maintain $11,208,668.12 in our surplus. When you look at what we had last year, the $13 million, after the budget season was utilized, we ended up last year with, am I saying that correctly? After the budget year was utilized, after we utilized the monies for our
For the
surplus,
budget.
that figure was 13 million. So we're just about down by $2 million. However, at the end of the year, we also will roll monies back into surplus from monies that weren't expended, monies that we have not yet calculated in our anticipated revenues, the MRNA, revenues unexpected. So we do expect to roll some monies back into our surplus, hopefully keeping us pretty level. So we were very fortunate that we did have a sizable amount of monies above and beyond to contribute into this budget. However, we'll talk about that later. So let's talk about, Sloan, the next slide, please. Our tax collection rate, which is very important, was 96.24%. That means 96.24% of all of the revenues that we projected through taxes were realized. 96.24% of our residents paid their taxes last year, and we received that money. So when you think about the total amount of dollars, the cash required to operate Willingboro Township on a local, county, and local, county, and school board, the total dollar equates to $80,795,216.15. That is what was realized through taxation. However, we didn't see all that money, okay? And the next slide, Sean, please, which is a very important slide. This shows the breakdown of all of that monies received. So if you look at this, $9.2 million or 10.96% was sent to the county for county taxes. $34.5 million or 41.2%, less than half here, was utilized for municipal purposes, and $40.1 million or 47.8% of the tax monies was forwarded off to the school district. So this is a really good visual of the portions of the tax dollars that are actually utilized by the township and the portions that are used by what I will call others, which would be the county and the school board. And you will see that most of your tax dollars are not contributed to municipal operations. They're contributed to county and school board operations. Show on the next slide, please. So what are we doing? What is the township doing with your hard-earned money that you bring into Willingboro? Last year, we were able to purchase 15 new vehicles through leases, mostly for our police department, public works, inspections department, who requires utilization of vehicles a lot. We did some projects. We located 12 new radar signs, and these are just bullet points of some of the things that we did. We paved 25 roads last year, and we replaced or rebuilt 16 roads. That's 41 roads in Willingboro in 2024. That number is astounding because municipalities just do not do that level of infrastructure work on top of all the other work that we did. So,
And that was with a tax decrease
and that
last
was
year.
with a 2-penny tax decrease. So on top of that, show on the next slide, please. We also did park reservations. We developed the inclusive playground at Broido Park. We're in the process of installing pickleball courts at Mill Creek Park. We are doing work on the Performing Arts Center, which is scheduled to open in a few weeks. We made improvements to Fairmont Park, which included leveling the surface, applying stone for adequate draining, and new mulching to finish the project. We continued to strengthen Willingboro's infrastructure by addressing major sinkholes and outfall repairs on Pennypacker, Van Skyver, and Charleston Road. Our partnership with PSC&G transitioned street lighting to brighter energy-saving LED lights and enhancing safety and sustainability. With the assistance of the county, DPW was able to address a clogged stormwater pipe after discovering the issue during an inspection on Babbitt and Bradford Lane. In July of 2024, we launched a traffic safety unit aimed at improving roadway conditions and reducing accidents within our township. And from July to December, this unit responded to over 406 incidents and 27 accidents. We purchased a new emergency vehicle for the police department, and we are in the process of acquiring a new ambulance, which we are waiting to take delivery on. Like I said, in DPW, we repaved the DPW parking lot. We installed new surveillance systems and time clocks for improved security and efficiency. So we are working that tax dollar in improving the infrastructure and services here in Willingboro. But there are some operational impacts that has, or this budget will reveal. In the salary and wages area, the 2020, I'm sorry, show on the next slide, please. The salary and wages proposed budget reflects an increase in salary and wages, like I said, due to contractual agreements and ongoing negotiations. This assures that we can attract and retain qualified personnel to serve our community and effectively. And our total allocations is for 2025 is $21,766,491, which is up from $20,418,385,3124. If you recall, in 2024, we did set a minimum standard for hiring employees into Willingboro at 43,000. Before then, we were having difficulty recruiting personnel, especially in DPW, because what we were offering as starting wages were far lower or incomparable with what the market was offering. So we really needed to do something, and we have been able to increase our staffing there in other areas as well. Our operation expenses for 2025, this budget shows allocations in operating expenses across various departments. On our total allocation is down, is 17,807,000, down from 20,038,277.63 in 2024. So with these allocations, the departments will continue to operate at maximum efficiency, ensuring high-quality service for all of our residents. And I do want to thank our directors from all of our departments, because when we met in November, they had requests for additions to some of their expenses. However, we did look at those requests, and we decided that we're going to kind of hold a line with last year. So with very few exceptions, everybody is pretty much receiving the same operating revenues that they received last year. We are aware of the areas that we did need to increase, but we were also aware of areas that we could decrease. And that's why we were able to kind of adjust the O&E expenses down and still offer the same level of operations for the township. So what does all of this mean to the average resident in Willingboro? So show on the next slide, please. So in 2025, and if you shift to the far left column, these are the estimated costs per household. So if you look at our general government, you can, and I had the numbers from 2023, 2024, 2025, all put in. So you can actually see that the numbers are actually trending up. However, through efficient administration, we have been able to have a flat year and a slight decrease, and a flat year and then another decrease, and we're looking at another flat year. So although the numbers are trending up, we are still working very hard to utilize your tax dollars as efficiently as we can. So if you look at the total dollars per household for the general government, $152.14 of your tax dollars are going to general government. And then we have our support services, police, $518.15. Emergency medical, $35.32. Your fire department, your public works. These are all of the different breakdowns of the per household costs. So when it comes to all of the salaries and wages for our employees, $1,111.72 of your tax dollars are being dedicated to our salaries and wages. Show on the next slide, please. From an operating expense category or look, then you can see again, the same categories are here, but if you go down to the bottom line, $300.67 are going towards your operating expenses for the average household in Willingboro. On that particular page. Then we have, show on the next slide, please. Then we have O&E other expenses. These are things that we have less control over, like our insurances, our utilities, our solid waste disposal, garbage and trash contracts, statutory expenses, pension costs, other things that we really don't have as much control over. So out of that, $2,760.04 of your tax dollars are going to other operating expenses in support of the municipal operations. And I do just want to highlight, there are no judgments since 2023 under my tenure. So we've been good. So, and again, I just want to highlight some of the positives related to this budget. There is a tax rate, there is not a tax rate reduction. And again, I apologize that that word is there. It is a flat tax for 2025. So from last year's tax budget, providing relief to taxpayers while remaining essential services, we are asking that you contribute to the municipal purposes the same percentage as you contributed last year. Another positive is that we do have a strong fund balance. We have a healthy surplus funds of $7 million, we utilize healthy surplus funds, a little over $7 million to support operations and increase, which was an increase from the previous year. And again, we still have a very strong, solid collection rate, demonstrating strong financial management and community compliance. So the 2025 municipal budget includes several positive aspects that reflect sound financial management. Most notably, we achieved a flat tax rate compared to last year, providing some relief to our taxpayers while continuing to maintain essential services. And this achievement is supported by our strong, like I said, our strong fund balance and excellent tax collection rate. Sean, the next slide, please. So again, this next slide just kind of breaks down those totals in regards to, and then you can see on the bottom line, the increase is 0.00, and there is a 6 there, but that 0.6 is really negligible in what you would see in your tax bill. So what are the challenges that this budget poses? As our statutory costs increase, things like our pension contributions, PERS, PFRS, Social Security, they increased and they continue to increase. Those are one of the challenges. One of the major challenges is healthcare costs increase. Our healthcare costs are bounding 13–14%. This year, we have to go out to rebid our trash management contract. Municipalities are realizing increases in their waste management contracts, trending up some 30, 40, 50% in comparison to prior years. And then unemployment insurances are going up. So we need to replenish our unemployment insurance reserves. So despite our careful planning, we are faced with several financial challenges in this 2025 budget, again, as outlined. But many of those we will need to address in our subsequent budget, 2026. So, and I will say it very straight out and straightforward. We did what we could do in 2025 to offer relief and to the taxpayers, but there will be a tax increase in our 2026 budget because we cannot continue to do what we do and sustain these levels. If we keep tapping into our surplus, we can until there is no surplus, and that makes us vulnerable in case of emergent situations. We used a lot of our cap bank. So, you know, every year, and we will do it again tonight, we will do an ordinance that the state limit is 2.5% increase over the prior year, but you can introduce an ordinance to increase that to 3.5%, but then you put the money in a cap bank and you use it to offset future budget expenditures. We had monies in our cap bank and we were kind of getting some grief because they didn't want us to use the cap bank. So I'm like, well, why are we putting the money in the bank if we can't turn around and use it? So we did use a substantial portion of our cap bank this year, but is essential to remain financially stable, that we begin to replace those revenues. So I'm not going to say that it's going to be a brutally, taxing year next year, but realistically, I believe this governing body has been very good to the homeowners and taxpayers in Willingboro in regards to managing the monies and bringing down to a level that is, we're trying to get to that sweet point, and we're just about there. So, just reviewing the numbers, our total for unanticipated, our revenues, we're about 8 million, a little bit over 8 million. And we do not expect those numbers to fluctuate up and down over the next years. So the things that will really help us are grants, fundings, and things like that, and always try to reduce our operating expenses. But you can only reduce operating expenses so much and still continue your operations. So that's kind of that outlook for 2026. So Sean, the next slide, we did go through the budget amendment processes earlier in the presentation. So if anyone wants me to re-highlight any of that information, when we go to the public hearing, the governing body will have an opportunity to make adjustments to this budget that we are presenting to you in any way that you see fit in the requirements, whether they require a public hearing and amendment are listed again. So last slide is our question and answer. Are there any questions and answers or any questions that I can answer in relation to this particular budget?
Well, I will open, thank you, Mr. Harris, first of all, for your presentation. I think the consideration for the taxpayers in trying to achieve another flat tax year is tremendously important and I'm sure appreciated by our residents that live here. And with that said, I will open it up to council for questions. Comments, concerns? Deputy Mayor Worthy.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Harris, for the presentation tonight. I'm going to look through it once again. I do appreciate you going through it slide by slide. And I also wanted to note that the slides look great. I really appreciate the time and the effort to give us something visual that represents the data to make it easy to follow. I think it helped with the flow of the presentation and making it more succinct. So I really appreciate the attention and effort. I know each year I'm like, these slides, Mr. Harris. So I really appreciate the efforts that were taken by your team to give us a presentation that's easy to read. And I look forward to going back through it once again, just to see if I have any other questions that come up. But thank you for your presentation tonight.
And thank you for that comment in particular, Dr. Worthy, because my team, Ms. Diggs, Mr. Laurie, we spent literally almost the whole day crunching numbers and going through spreadsheets and scratching and colors and blues. But our communications department, literally, I gave this to them on Thursday, and they put everything on the side and spent hours and days and after hours putting together this presentation, and it was completed this evening at 5:42. So Miss Marilyn Bell, I give kudos to, and Miss Brianna Tony. They are the ones that produced this document, and I agree with you 100%. It was spectacular, and I really appreciate all the hard work and dedication that all of my team, the directors, the commitment that they have to Willingboro is really high. And you know what? We're not perfect, but we really strive to do the best that we can. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right.
Councilman Anderson.
I too, as much as this hurts me, Mr. Harris.
Go ahead.
No, I appreciate, the great job, the presentation. I mean, it was all hands on deck, which is greatly appreciated. I know the directors, wanted more, but was able to, sustain themselves based off what they did last year. So that sacrifice is indeed appreciated, the hard work you guys put in. The only thing I'm going to say is when you give your presentation, can I get to see your pretty brown eyes? You kept them here on Dr. Worthy on down. You didn't turn that neck all the way to make eye contact. But other than that, everything was great, sir. Thank you.
Okay, just for the record, I don't think it's appropriate for Councilman Anderson to be asking me to show him my pretty brown eyes.
Whew. I don't know, that judgment piece might be coming up. All right. Councilwoman Pearl, do you have anything?
Yeah, just the presentation definitely was excellent. It was thorough, so I am looking forward to just kind of crunching down and looking and comparing to the numbers and what you're requesting. But absolutely excellent job in your presentation. So thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So with that said, to the community, I am proud to introduce this 2025 municipal budget. I think the administration, council, all of the directors have done a tremendous job at being mindful of the residents' finances. It reflects our ongoing commitment to fiscal responsibility and ensuring that we continue to deliver the services our community depends on without adding tremendous strain to our taxpayers. We also recognize the importance of planning ahead. It is not lost on us that the political times are uncertain, that with the bond referendum, additional payments, that will be an additional strain on taxpayers. That community experience is not lost on us. We are members of the community, and we remain mindful of the future financial impacts that are coming to residents, trying to optimize every single dollar that we are given in our budget. Over the last 4 years, we have been doing our best to optimize the budget as much as we can. We've done 2 years of tax decreases. We've done 3 years with this year included, with flat taxes. And we have still continued to improve services, improve facilities and amenities, repave and upgrade our infrastructure, all without an increase. We have optimized the budget, I think, to the max at this point. And thank you again to Mr. Harris, his team, all of the directors for doing everything that you can to really cut the fat in the budget. You know, just in plain words, we all felt that there were areas of the budget that were inflated, things that weren't necessary, or monies that weren't being used appropriately and efficiently, and we've done our best to cut that spending. Our focus is on efficiency, sustainability, and making strategic investments that will benefit Willingboro for years to come. The dedication of the staff and the administration, Mr. Harris, Mr. Lowry, Ms. Diggs, and all of the directors, I think to present this budget is a tremendous feat. We appreciate your dedication, your time, and your thoughtfulness in our this presentation this year. Willingboro's future is bright, and together we will continue to work on strengthening our community. All right, with that being said, we will go to our ordinances for introduction. We'll do the ordinances and resolutions overview.
Okay. So being presented to you this evening for your consideration is ordinance number 2025-5, which is the ordinance to exceed the municipal budget appropriation limits and to establish a cap bank. Ordinance number 2025-6 is an ordinance to establish compensation benefits and other policies for non-union employees, unclassified employees, and elected officials of the Township of Willingboro. We present the 2025 salary ordinance that formalizes compensation benefits and the related policies for those individuals. Those are the only ordinance being presented to you this evening for consideration. We are presenting resolution number 2025-9, which is a resolution introducing the 2025 municipal budget, which was just explained to everyone. Resolution number 2025-91 is a resolution rescinding petty cash for public works and recreation. When petty cash was established way back when, there was one petty cash that was being utilized by Public Works and Recreation. Each petty cash account has to have a custodian of that petty cash. So it was inappropriate for there to be a duality for Recreation and Public Works. So we are rescinding the one for Recreation and Public Works and reestablishing one for Public Works. And resolution number 92 is that resolution to reestablish the petty cash for Public Works. There will be a subsequent resolution coming to reestablish the petty cash for Recreation, but that will probably be at the next meeting. Resolution number 93 is is a resolution authorizing the township to place municipal charges on certain properties for failing to address property maintenance violations. And as I was looking through the list this year, most of the maintenance violations were removal of trash and debris from people's homes. So I'm really appreciative that our inspections department is actually going out and cracking down on people who are not maintaining their properties in a respectable fashion. Resolution number 94 is a resolution authorizing the deferred school tax. This resolution seeks approval to defer liability up to a maximum of 50% of the school tax levy, and that's allowed by the Division of Local Government Services. The township works on a calendar year, which is from January 1st to December 31st. The school works on a state fiscal year, which is July 1st through June. So half of their tax bill comes to us in 2025, and the other half comes to us in 2026. So we are just deferring the 2026 portion of the tax bill to the 2026 budget, so we don't have to put those numbers full in our 2025 municipal budget. So that's what that resolution does. The resolution number 95 is authorizing the, certifying the compliance with the United States Equal Employment Opportunity Commission requirements, enforcement guide on the consideration of arrest, conviction, and records, employee decision under Title 4, 5, 6, 7, Title 7 of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. That's a whole lot, isn't it? What this resolution, the purpose of this resolution is to ensure that the municipality is utilizing hiring practices that comply with the commission's guidelines when we consider arrest and conviction records in employee decisions. And there is a subsequent or additional certification that each member of the governing body is going to have to sign off on. And this is a requirement for us to file this form prior to us submitting our budget to the state for review. Resolution number 96 is the cancel taxes for 2024 for exempt properties, including disabled veterans. We are approving this resolution, which needs to be submitted to the county, and then they will give us credits and debits and all that, or monies back for each property that is exempt. There are 39 properties included on this list who have received exemptions throughout the course from our tax assessor by meeting certain requirements that are established by local or by law. Resolution number 97 is a resolution authorizing the refund of overpayment of taxes. Resolution number 98 is a resolution authorizing the Township of Willingboro to establish not to exceed amount for A. Brooks Roofing for the repairs at the JFK Center roof. Remember, a few meetings ago, we've been talking about the leaks at the JFK Center. This is just giving the contract to A. Brooks Roofing to go ahead and fix those leaks in the amount of $19,730. Resolution number 99 is a resolution authorizing the Township of Willingboro to award a contract for pre-seasonal prep and maintenance of baseball fields. So I do have a question that I'm going to ask someone from my team. The resolution says 6 fields, but I can only identify 5 in the bid spec, being Van Sciver, Harrison Field, Allen Parker Field. There's 2 fields at Van Sciver? Okay, so then that's the 6. Okay. And then Sportsman Field, so those are the 6 fields. Okay. Yes, thank you. Yes, thank you. Resolution number 100 is the resolution authorizing the approval of vouchers and payment and ratification of our bills. Resolution 101 is a resolution authorizing, let me just make sure that I have the right agenda. I know there were some additions. Resolution 101 is authorizing an award of contract for grounds landscaping maintenance for Willingboro Township Municipal Complex, the parking lot, the library, and the firehouse. So a few years ago, we contracted out those services because they were cheaper for us to contract out than our in-house persons to perform those services. And then resolution number 102 is a resolution extending the time period for the Vault Dispensary to receive all necessary cannabis state permits. And that goes in tandem with our licensing requirements established by local ordinance. And then I do believe we are going to go in executive session at some point, and those are all of the items that are being presented to you this evening for your consideration.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Harris. With that being said, I will now open public comment for agenda items only. This public comment is for agenda items only. Please come to the podium or raise your hand online. You will have 2 minutes. Please state your name and address for the record. Public comment is now open for agenda items only. Is it for something on the agenda? General public comment is that later in the meeting. Okay. Seeing none, is there any online?
None at this time, Mayor.
None at this time. Okay. With that being said, public comment is now closed. Council, are there any items that you would like to pull for discussion on the agenda? Yes, Councilwoman Perron.
Thank you. Just one item, item number 102.
Okay. Any other items? All right. Seeing none, I'd like to make a motion, or, well, I guess we should do the ordinances first. So Madam Clerk, we'll go to ordinance 2025-5, please.
All right, so we have, like Mr. Harris said, we have 2 ordinances for introduction tonight. The first one's ordinance 2025-5. Can I get a motion to introduce ordinance 2025-5 titled Ordinance to Exceed the Municipal Budget Appropriation Limits and to Establish a Cap Bank?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Worthy, seconded by Councilwoman Perron. Roll call?
Councilwoman Perone,
Yes.
Councilman Anderson,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Dr. Worthy,
Yes.
Mayor Whitfield.
Yes.
Thank you. And the public hearing for this will be April 15th. Okay, and then our second ordinance is ordinance 2025-6. Can I get a motion to introduce ordinance 2025-6 titled Ordinance to Establish Compensation, Benefits, and Other Policies for Non-Union Employees, Unclassified Employees, and Elected Officials of the Township of Willingboro? Can I get a motion?
So
So
moved.
moved. Second.
Moved by Councilwoman Perron, seconded by Councilman Anderson. Discussion?
Madam Clerk,
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Mr. Hall?
Madam Mayor, section 3-153, subsection A, page 5 of the ordinance, page 45 of your packet. The last sentence in that section should read as follows: Medicare eligible retirees must enroll in Medicare to continue benefits, which a retiree may be eligible from the township, consistent with resolution 2024-53 and the chapter 48 resolution addendum as accepted for the E.
Accepted.
That's it.
Okay. Anyone have any questions on that part? All right. Seeing none, we'll go to roll call.
Councilwoman Perone,
Yes.
Councilman Anderson,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Dr. Worthy,
Yes.
Mayor Whitfield.
Yes.
Thank you. And again, this ordinance public hearing and final reading will be April 15th.
And you can continue, as we go to the resolutions, I will make a motion for a consent agenda for resolution 2025-90 through 2025-101.
Second?
It's been moved by Mayor Whitfield, seconded by Councilwoman Pearl. Roll call?
Councilwoman Perone,
Yes.
Councilman Anderson,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Dr. Worthy.
Yes.
Mayor Whitfield.
Yes.
Thank you.
I need a motion to accept the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second?
Moved by Councilman Anderson, seconded by Councilwoman Pearl.
Councilwoman Perone,
Yes.
Councilman Anderson,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Dr. Worthy.
Yes.
Mayor Whitfield.
Yes.
Thank you.
Madam Clerk, Resolution 2025-101, or 102.
All right, so for separate discussion tonight, we have resolution 2025-102 entitled Resolution Extending the Time Period for the Vault Dispensary to Receive All Necessary Cannabis State Permits. Can I get a motion and second to discuss this?
So moved?
Second.
Moved by Councilwoman Perone, seconded by Deputy Mayor Worthy. Discussion. Councilwoman Perone.
Thank you. So I did see that this request is to extend the period of time for this company, the Volt Dispensary, to have more time in getting permits. It seemed that they were extended 3 months, which expired March 17, 2025. However, this resolution, it's an open-ended. It says, whereas in accordance with the terms and conditions ordinance 2021-11, the Township Council has the discretion to extend the time period for the applicant to receive all necessary state permits. However, it doesn't establish a time such as an additional, or we're saying down here before the township that 3 months extension be granted. So is that an additional 3 months, giving them a total of 6 months?
Yes, it's giving them a total of 6 months. They had 3 months with the initial passage. They requested an extension, and this resolution would extend that permit for an additional 3 months.
And so if we vote on this today, then it would be starting from March, the 3 months from then? Or
Yes,
from April?
it will be starting from the March date.
Okay.
Any other questions? All right, being none, roll call.
Councilwoman Perone,
Yes.
Councilman Anderson,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Dr. Worthy.
Yes.
Mayor Whitfield.
Yes.
Thank you.
You can continue to the treasurer's report.
Okay. Okay, so we have the treasurer's report for the month of March. The date it was dated March 24th, 2025. Can I get a motion and a second to approve the March treasurer's report?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Anderson, seconded by Dr. or Deputy Mayor Worthy.
Councilwoman Perone,
Yes.
Councilman Anderson,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Dr. Worthy,
Yes.
Mayor Whitfield.
Yes.
We do not have minutes to be approved at this meeting. I apologize for the delay, but this meeting and last meetings will be on for the April 15th meeting. And if you are all right, Madam Mayor, I will go on with my report.
Yes, please, Madam Clerk.
Okay, so my bi-monthly reminder for important election dates. I will be reading them until they are memorized into your brains. Our primary election is June 10th, not June 3rd, June 10th from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. The voter registration deadline is May 20th. The deadline to apply for the vote by mail ballot by mail is June 3rd, but you have up until June 9th to go to the county office to apply for a vote by mail ballot. And early voting will be on June 6th through June 8th. to circle back to budget hearings now that the budget's been introduced. I did hear back from a couple council members about specific dates. People liked April 4th, April 11th, and April 30th. However, I'm just going to finalize those with everyone, but I would like to get those dates advertised by the end of this week, just so we can, you know, get things rolling. If we do the April 4th date, I would need to get it done tomorrow. So, the other thing I wanted to mention, just to follow up, I know I wanted to start making it more routine to let the residents know what solicitors actually have permits around. So we have the two allied expert solicitors. We have a solicitor from Home Solutions and a solicitor from Green Exterior Solutions. They are the ones that have been fully approved. I've signed off on their card, and they are good to walk around. They have updated lists of the no-knock registration, where they're allowed to go, where they're not allowed to go. And we also reached out to one of the organizations that they're using their cards from last year, even though the deadline was December 31st. We reached out to them and be like, hey, you need to get new ones or get new permits. So that was that. And then my final happy municipal clerk is our new deputy clerk, started on Friday. She was kind of thrown into a crazy situation. I wasn't here and she just jumped right into action. She's already relabeled all of our filing cabinets. It's very pretty. She's printed out meeting packets. We're working on, it's the little things, Dr. Worthy. It's the little things, okay? Just working, making the space overall more efficient. So we've been going through and trying to figure out what our new normal is. So that is really exciting and I appreciate that and I appreciate her. So thank you.
All right, thank you, Madam Clerk. Any questions for Madam Clerk? All right. Seeing none, anyone have any unfinished business? Yes. Deputy Mayor Worthy.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just wanted to update the council. At our last meeting, we talked about having a roundtable with the school district and other players around Willingboro Super Summer. And we did have our roundtable meeting yesterday. It was very well attended by 3 members of the school board, the superintendent, the BA was there, the mayor, myself, Mr. Williams from the library, Ms. Bolden and Mr. Brunson from the Recreation Department, Mr. Harris, Mr. Lowry, Ms. Carmichael. It was a whole crew. And we were able to talk about some things that we could do to strengthen academic enrichment through our recreation program and offering this summer. There will be follow-on meetings to really isolate what will be done, but there were several solutions that were suggested that will minimize the disruption to what we already do for the summer. And so we do have some follow-up discussions, but I think I'm accurate in saying that it looks like something we are going to be able to do. Is that accurate, Mr. Harris? We can't, I don't know, stone face. But it looks like something we'll be able to do with minimum disruption. But I do know that follow-up conversations would have to be had. Let me look at Councilman Anderson, look into your eyes because you already accused Mr. Harris. So we want to make sure that we are having further conversations to make sure that if this is something we're going to do, we'll be able to reach that decision point really soon. The school board is very committed to it. The library, we've got support from them. Recreation is open to further discussions to figure out how to really make this happen. There would be a potential budget implication of about $20,000 from the township to be able to make this happen. So I do believe additional conversations are needed, but it sounds like things would line up really well for us to be able to provide academic enrichment this summer. But I just wanted to provide the update. Thank you for your support to even have that roundtable. And I'll continue to provide information to the council. And if there are decision points for the entire governing body, I will certainly relay those to the mayor to bring back to the body to make any decisions that may need to be voted up or voted down.
Right.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Councilwoman Perrin.
Yeah, just wanted to follow up, in addition to, the roundtable. So will we still be able to do the, summer internship program if we were able, if we bring this enrichment, are we gonna still be able to do that? Because I like that we did that with the last year, and I would like for us to continue offering that to our students.
Yes, and we do have some applicants for summer internships already.
Okay. And so that wouldn't interfere with that, we'd be able to do it simultaneously.
Councilman Anderson.
Just want to give an update on the golf event. Registrations have begun. Folks are starting to register. We just got an email from Pepsi saying they will be one of our sponsors. So we're waiting for that check to come in. The check is in the mail. We don't know the amount yet, but and reaching out to the golf clubs, they're circulating the information. This is golf season. This is when the folks start to sign up as it gets closer, the weather gets warmer. So I'll continue the updates and I'll have the actual report once the checks come in with all the numbers.
Thank you, Councilman Anderson. Any other unfinished business? All right, being none, any new business? All right, having none tonight. We will now open up public comment. This public comment is our general public comment. You will have 4 minutes. Please come up to the podium or raise your hand online. Once again, this is our general public comment. You'll have 4 minutes. Please state your name and address when you come to speak. Public comment is now open.
Hello, my name is Bolivar Reyes. I live in 46 Berkshire Lane, Willingboro. I just got here and I already got problems. My problems is not $1 million or anything. It's like when I bought my property, I was a rookie, right? And I was so excited to buy it. And then I saw this community. I said, my kids love it. So I came, and then I thought I was paying the water together with the mortgage. Again, I was a rookie. I was like just excited. So I never received a mail, a bill, or anything. So everything was fine. So it's been a while, and I accumulate so much. And one day, my kids opened the water. There's no water. They cut it off. And then I went to check if anything, maybe they're fixing the street, whatever. They said, no, you own like $6,000. And then I was like, how did that happen? And then I accumulated, they sent me, well, make the story short, they created a plan for me, like paying $450, and then it add up to $492 every month. I wasn't missing, never. I was on time. And then guess what? Like after 2 or 3 months, they say, oh, your water is gonna be shut off anyway. I was like, but what was the deal? After you create a plan for me to succeed, not to fail. So right now, I'm here because I don't know where to go. I look on Google, I spoke to somebody from here, said Loretta Anderson. She saw somebody so nice, I don't even know her, but she said to come over here, whatever. I have nowhere to go. I want to pay, and I'm ready to pay, but not that much. And I went like every week, twice in that place over there to look for answer. They say, oh, maybe come back on next Thursday. And then I just can't wait. I cannot sleep because my kids is like, they're gonna shut off the water. And then I think that's it.
Okay. Yes, we have your address as 42 Berkshire Lane, correct?
46,
46 Berkshire. And what was your name one more time, sir?
Bolivar Reyes,
Bolivar
Reyes,
Reyes. Okay.
R-E-Y-E-S.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Reyes. We will address all of the public comments at the conclusion of public comment when public comment closes, okay?
Okay.
All right. Thank you for coming tonight.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and esteemed council. My name is Esther Turner, 3 Woodhaven Lane. At the last council meeting, I believe I addressed this question to the township solicitor and also to the council. Wasn't sure, who would really, be able to give me the appropriate answer, and that was in reference to whether or not the residents own the land here in Willingboro or not, or whether it's owned by the township. It's my understanding that the township owns the land. So I would like an answer to that at the appropriate time. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Turner. Any other public comment? IT, is there any public comment online?
Yes, ma'am. Shirley Dilworth.
Good evening, Ms. Dilworth.
Good evening, everyone. Hey, thank you for, Shirley Dilworth, Newport Lane. Thank you for recognizing me. Okay. I was omitted at the last council meeting, which was the second time that I was omitted, during the public comment section. So thanks again. And it's very disheartening, especially when you sit through the entire council meeting and your hand is not recognized. Hopefully going forward, it won't happen again. But at any rate, first of all, I really appreciated the budget presentation by Mr. Harris. And at the appropriate time, if you could repeat the date and time of the public budget hearing, I'd appreciate that. I'm very pleased that my response from the police department recently turned out to be positive, especially after I saw how much money or what percentage of our budget, okay, is used by the police department. Okay. Oh, maybe about 8 weeks ago, there was a wrecked vehicle in the neighborhood, and it took me several telephone calls, okay, to get that vehicle towed away. Initially, they gave me the runaround, but finally, one of the police officers came through and made sure that the wrecked vehicle was taken out of the neighborhood. Also, I'd like to, to thank the Department of Public Works for repairing 2 huge potholes at 75 Sunset Road. Okay, that's a business establishment, but it's a business establishment that I use frequently, and there were 2 gigantic, okay, tire busting potholes located there. So thanks again. There's an issue at the public library. Perhaps Department of Public Works could investigate. Since last Saturday, I noticed there's broken glass on the cobblestone pathway that connects between the library and Ivy Rehab. Okay. It really is a danger, to have broken glass on the street like that, on the walkway like that. I did send an email, okay, to the head of the Department of Public Works. Okay, I'm not sure if that was the right place to put it, but I'm just letting you know that I did do that. I think that is about it, okay, at this time. So again, okay, thanks for everything. And I'd like to thank all of you for all of the hard work that you do for the community. Good evening and have a good night.
Thank you, Ms. Dilworth. Anyone else online?
Yes, Maddie Mallory.
Good evening, Ms. Mallory.
Good evening, Maddie Mallory, Hudson Place. I would just like to ask the clerk if she could talk a little louder or talk into her mic, because I always have difficulty hearing her. And I wanted to get a confirmation on the vote by mail date. I think she said June the 3rd, but I'm not sure. So going forward, if she could either speak louder or closer to the microphone, it would be easier to hear her because it's always difficult for me to hear what she's actually saying. So I need a definite on the date for a vote by mail because I'm not sure that I wrote the correct thing on my notes. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Miss Mallory. Is there any other public comment online?
Yes. Excuse me, Tony Mathis.
Good evening. If you're speaking, I believe you're still muted. We cannot hear you. Resident Mathis, if you are speaking, we cannot hear you. You're still muted. All right, if I see that you're unmuted, you can begin speaking now. Resident Mathis? All right, it seems that we're having some technical difficulties there. Yes, we can see your hand. We just can't hear you. Well, if you have a comment, Resident Mathis, I'm sorry that we're not able to hear you this evening. Please send your comment, question, or concern both to our township clerk and to our township manager, and we will do our best to help you with any comments, questions that you may have. All right. You're still on, but we just can't hear you. All right, any other public comment in the courtroom? Seeing none, public comment is now closed. To address the public comments, Mr. Reyes, thank you for sharing your story. That is a terrible and very unfortunate situation that is happening. Unfortunately, the council does not do the water service here in town. That is handled by our Willingboro Municipal Utilities Authority, the WMUA. Their building is right next to the JFK Center, and they do have a website and information. I'll ask the clerk to share the MUA information with you so that you can get in contact with them. But they will be able to help you with your situation and give you any updates on that shut-off notice. Yes. Yes, Deputy Mayor.
And Mr. Reyes, I will also send an email to the executive director and the chairwoman at the WMUA, alerting them of this issue as well. So they will have your information. So once you reach out to them, they will be reaching out to you also. If you'd like to leave your phone number, I will add your phone number to the email. You can give it to the clerk. Just give her your phone number. I will add your phone number to the email that I'll send over to the WMUA. They are a different governing body, but we can, help to facilitate that conversation. I hate that's happening to your family, and I'm hopeful it's something that's resolved soon. Thank you so much for coming tonight to share that experience with us.
All right, Ms. Turner, we had the question that you asked last meeting and presented again tonight. Do the residents own the land in town? Mr. Harris, are you able to provide any? Okay, not yet. We don't have an answer for you yet, but we are still working on that, and we'll make sure that you receive the answer as soon as we get it, all right? All right, thank you. Ms. Dilworth, I am so sorry that you weren't recognized at the last meeting. We really do our best to recognize every resident that raises their hand and takes their time to come to our meetings and share their experiences, comments, concerns, suggestions with the council. I'm sorry that you weren't recognized, and we will continue to do our best to recognize every resident that comes to the meeting. The public hearing for the budget. Mr. Harris, can you share that date one more time?
May 6th.
May 6th is that date, Ms. Dilworth. So that public hearing on the budget will be on May 6th at 7 p.m. at our regular council meeting. Also, she made a note about some broken glass on the walkway near the library. Mr. Harris, if you can make sure that that issue is taken care of, that would be great. Miss Mallory, she had asked the clerk to share the vote by mail dates again.
Yes.
Please.
I hope that wasn't happening all night, but please let me know if this is a little better. I will be more mindful, but the deadlines for to apply for a vote by mail ballot is June 3rd. If you want to apply in the mail, so that is if you want to put your application in the mail to get a vote by mail ballot. However, you can go to the county office as late as June 9th, the day before the election, and apply for a vote by mail ballot. But if you want to do it by mail, it's that June 3rd date.
All right. Thank you, Madam Clerk, for that. All right. Is there anything that I missed on public comment? No? All right. We will move on to council comments. Any council?
Yes,
Councilman Anderson.
just want to thank everyone for coming out, everyone who attended in person, everyone who participated via Zoom. Also, just want to share my sincere condolences with our clerk on the passing of her mother. You and your family are in our prayers, and anything you need, we're here for you. On a happy note, we want to say happy birthday. And then thanks again to Mr. Harris, his team, for the wonderful job you did with the budget, you know, for all the work that you guys put in. And once again, it's just greatly appreciated. You know, the hard work you do make us look good, and together we make the community look good. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Anderson. Councilwoman Perone.
I just thank the community for coming out and participating in our meetings. And these meetings, they're your meetings. Everything that you ask are all helpful. And I don't speak just for myself, for the council as well, for us to make decisions, for us to live in a community that we all enjoy being in. So thank you for participating this evening.
Thank you, Councilwoman Perone. Deputy Mayor Worthy.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you again for everyone coming out. I also wanted to give a huge shout out to our very own Senator Cory Booker, who spoke on the floor for 25 hours with the longest record for speech, because there is so much work to be done in Washington for our nation. And while some may look at it as just a speech and an opportunity to just hold the floor, he's really challenging everybody. It's a clarion call that it's not business as usual anymore, and we all need to find a way to come together to do what's best for our nation. So I salute Senator Booker. I'm proud of the work that he has done for New Jersey. I feel like he represents us well, and I just wanted to take a moment just to acknowledge that. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I would like to concur with all of the sentiments shared by council here tonight. I'd also like to say, now that the weather is breaking here in Willingboro and on the East Coast, happy spring to everyone. Please take advantage of our beautiful parks. We are putting a tremendous amount of effort to making them safe, fun places for the community to enjoy. We have the new accessible playground at Broido Park. So if you have not had a chance yet to go visit that, please do. Also, we'll have the community cleanup on May 3rd. That will be, it's always a great event. There will be giveaways. Sometimes there's food, but it's a great chance for the community to come together as we work to have a clean community for everyone. Also, the school district and the superintendent's youth advisory council is doing a cleanup on April 29th. I encourage everyone to participate in that cleanup as well. That one will be held at Mill Creek Park, starting, I believe, at 9 a.m. So please support our youngsters as they make an effort to support having a clean community. Also, I want to give a warm welcome to our new deputy clerk, Ms. Nikisha Scott. We appreciate you coming to Willingboro. There's lots of work to do here, as I'm sure you have come to know so far, but we are glad to have you as part of the team. Welcome, and we look forward to you growing and strengthening the team here that we have in Willingboro. Also, I just wanted to once again say happy birthday to our municipal clerk, Sam Savino. She does so much work holding council together, making sure we're all on the same page, and we have all of the information that we need. She schedules like nobody's business, and she always makes sure that she addresses our residents and gives them the best quality of service that is possible. So thank you, Sam, for all the work that you do here. Happy birthday. And we're looking forward to many more years with you. All right. Now we will go to executive session, resolution 2025-103.
I did want to bring up, if you wanted to, I didn't know how long we would be in executive session, but so we don't run into the same problem we did last time, if you wanted to make a motion to extend the meeting.
It should not be longer than an hour.
I just wanted
Thank
to
you.
say it before
Yeah.
we
Thank you.
got into it. Okay. So for our executive session tonight, it's resolution 2025-103, resolution authorizing a closed executive session in accordance with the New Jersey Open Public Meeting Act. And this executive session will be to discuss contract negotiations and potential litigation. Can I get a motion in a second?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Worthy, seconded by Councilman Anderson. Roll call.
Councilwoman Perone,
Present. Yes.
Councilman Anderson.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Dr. Worthy.
Yes.
Mayor Whitfield.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Madam Clerk?
Can I get a motion and a second to come out of executive session?
Second.
Moved by Councilman Anderson, seconded by Deputy Mayor Worthy.
Would you like roll?
Roll call?
Councilwoman Perone,
Yes.
Councilman Anderson, Deputy Mayor Dr. Worthy,
Yes.
Mayor Whitfield.
Yes.
Thank you. We are going to be coming out of executive session for the record at 9:36. And then can I have a motion second to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we are now closed.
The time is now 9:36.
Thank you. Thank you, Willenboro. Good night.